Something that I've been thinking about a lot is what is it like to date after you get divorced? When I was younger, I feel like I was very assertive, oftentimes to a fault, where I'll just make a decision, I'll commit to it, and I'll try to see it through for as long as I possibly can. Now, every time I make a decision, I self-doubt myself. And I think that's quite normal for a lot of people who got out of a really, traumatic, for lack of a better term, relationship. But now I feel like I'm finally in a good spot mentally. The thing that really helped me the most with all of that was finally settling down in a new place. I have a group of friends here. I know where everything is. I feel like I have a good rhythm to my way of life. Now I finally feel like I'm in the right time and headspace to be able to bring women into the equation. I haven't really been traveling much because I haven't felt personally ready for it or like in a good space mentally to be able to do it. But I'm actually going to Budapest later this month, and I'm going to Ukraine at the end of March. Hopefully everything's still good. No, nothing crazy happens with the war, but I think that content's going to be really, really awesome. But something that I forgot about, dating is really a skill, because being in a relationship and being a husband is completely different to the skills that you need when it comes to like dating somebody new for the first time. There's girls that you just want to hook up with, there's girls that you want to actually see for a long term, and there's girls that will be your wife. There are different skills in order to, conquistar all these types of girls. And it also depends on like the energy that you give out as well. Trying to talk to people, especially of different cultures, you forget that people take things differently. Being here in Poland, the people are not super friendly, not super nice, but that kind of reminds me of some parts of Asia, like Korea or China or Japan. People aren't really friendly with each other. Everyone's just kind of minding their own business. But if you ask them for help, they'll help you. In Latin America, people are a lot more social, people are a lot more open, which makes it a lot easier to flirt. Being in that kind of environment is kind of like training wheels. And then I come here, completely different culture, completely different language, and it takes a lot of time to adjust to all of that again. When it comes to fashion and when it comes to talking to girls and dating, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos. I don't think coaching is a bad thing. We have to learn how to dress and not just ask opinions from other guys, but I find that asking the opinion of women is also very important. I've been reading books again about how to approach girls, doing all that stuff, and it's crazy that even though I've only been out of the game for a couple of years, I feel like I'm very rusty and out of touch. That's why it's very important, I think, to really figure out who you are and what you stand for and what you're looking for. If you know what you're about and what values you like, it gives me a better idea of the people that I can pick to give my time to. If you want to be with a girl who dresses nice, who's super into fashion, I would assume that most people want to be with a partner who's on their level where they look good together. So I need to dress in a style, in a way where I would like my partner to match me. And I think that's something that a lot of guys don't really think about. I am not a dating coach, but I know somebody who is. My boy Mike has been helping people for over 10 years already. He's helped thousands of men looking to improve their dating life, improving their fashion, their online presence, and being able to properly talk and approach women better. If you guys are interested in coaching, you can sign up for a free consultation with him in the Typeform link that I'll put in the pinned comment. Now that I'm approaching 30, I'm getting a lot of attention from a lot of girls, but not all the girls are worth it. I also have a lot to lose, so it's not like I can be pursuing every single girl that I see. This is one of the core tenets of being a high value man as well. What do you do when you have all this attention? I think a lot of men fall into the trap of not having any sexual discipline and sleep around with a bunch of people that they shouldn't be sleeping around with. I have a public image to protect. I have a reputation in my building to protect. If she makes a false accusation on you, it doesn't even have to be true, and you can lose everything. Part of growing up as a man too is just understanding the risk that comes with dealing with a bad woman and adjusting accordingly, making sure that you're not committing to someone right away, making sure you're having the right standards, you're presenting yourself a certain way so you can attract the right women into your life. So another thing that really surprised me is that I thought a lot of girls would care that I was divorced, but it kind of seems like they're more attracted to me because of it. I think it's because it shows that I have the power to walk away from a bad situation, and in turn it makes people respect you a little more. I also think there's a double standard when it comes to the genders, because I think a man and a woman being divorced are two very different things, but everything is situation dependent because abusive relationships can happen both ways. Also, something that I've been really putting a lot of attention to is my fashion and how I present myself. How I do my hair, how I do my facial hair, how I dress, like having nice clothes instead of stuff that just looks cheap. It's nice being able to put a lot of effort into that self-care. I didn't really do that when I was married. Every time I would spend money on myself or nice clothes or look to improve myself, I did feel a little bit of resentment from my ex-wife. I don't know if she did it intentionally, but I think it came from a place of insecurity because as I continue to improve myself, it would have made more women attracted to me, and I didn't think she wanted that. She also tried to hinder my growth and my self-improvement, which is kind of messed up if you think about it, but I can understand where it comes from and I don't fault her for it at all. So I definitely will admit that there were a few times already with girls where I messed up here, I did a misstep there. It's different for all the cultures. I feel like when I speak Spanish, I become a different person. I flirt differently. My energy is a lot different. And just Latin people in general, even the Spanish people, they're a lot more obvious with their emotions, whereas Slavic people, they're a lot more cold and stoic, so you don't know exactly if they like you or not. But like I said in the previous video, I'm not really dating women my age or older anymore. I'm pretty much just going for younger girls, even 10 years plus, which I never thought I would do, but I think nowadays and in certain countries around the world, that's a lot more acceptable. Also, another question that I get asked is about interracial relationships and if they can work in the long term. I actually do believe that a lot of these can work. However, the cultures have to be similar enough. Chinese culture and the Colombian culture were such polar opposites, but if you're, for example, I have a buddy from the Caribbean, he's from Barbados, and his husband is Panamanian. I think those cultures are a lot more lined up, like African American, Caribbean, and Latin culture are very similar. I think Asian culture, specifically East Asian culture and Slavic culture are very similar. But then you have Arabs, which have the family culture very similar to Latinos, but then they're also very religious. So a lot of Muslim people kind of stay within themselves. There are so many different aspects to culture for choosing a long-term partner. A lot of people ask me like, why don't I just marry Asian, or why don't I just stick within my own race? I'm not really gonna say yes or no, but I just have a strong feeling that I'm probably gonna date outside of my race just based off my history and everything. I know a common complaint that I've heard from other guys is that like the people here want to get married so quickly, want to settle down and have a family so quickly. A lot of people don't like that. I kind of do. I remember when I took my ex-wife to Greece and Turkey, the first comment that she said, she has never seen so many present fathers walking around in her life. And that was something that I always took for granted because, I mean, in the US, there's a lot of like single moms, but I think Latin America is definitely the worst. It is really nice being here where the family is like super, super important and appreciated. I do think like most countries, Poland is definitely changing in this regard, but I think still compared to a lot of countries in the West and especially Latin America, the family values here are still very, very strong. Every single girl that I talk to, I don't have to commit to them long term, and they don't have to be my future girlfriend or wife. Something that I'm reading about in this book called The Big Stick by Dr. Robert Glover, who wrote the book No More Mr. Nice Guy. It's a skill as a man to be a good ender. I realized that in the past, I've been the worst ender possible. Like, I would spend a lot of time with the girl, we would develop feelings, and if it didn't work out, I didn't know how to break off the relationship cleanly. All the girls that I'm talking to now, or that I'm gonna date in the future, I just kind of see it as relationship practice, right? I think being in a relationship takes a lot of skills that most of us were not taught when we were growing up. How to handle conflict correctly. Instead of avoiding it like a lot of Asians do, how to go through conflict, sit down and have a mature conversation and be able to negotiate and talk through all the conflicts because they're inevitably going to come up. How to make your partner feel heard. What are things that men normally need in a relationship? What are things that women normally need in a relationship? For example, when a woman comes to you with a problem, it's our instinct as men to try to fix that problem. When a lot of the times women don't want us to fix it, they just want us to listen to them and make them feel heard. And this is something that you can only really learn with experience over time, or if you read books. I'm not trying to settle down anytime soon. I made that mistake already previously. I'm going to be talking to a lot of girls over the next few years. I'm not going to be that 45, 50-year-old guy trying to chase 20-year-olds, but now as a 29-year-old, being with a 20-year-old makes a lot of sense because we're still roughly in the same generation. The age gap is less than 10 years or something like that. 28 to 35 is the prime for most men. This is a realization that I'm now having, and I probably should have listened to my dad and other people about this. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I also made in my 20s is trying to rush and have everything together by the time that I was 30. I was trying to force things that happened that it wasn't the right time yet. So one of the big things that I learned from Southeast Asia is just being able to go along with the flow of life. Instead of trying to force things to happen, just listen to my intuition when I need to do something or not. So at the moment, my intuition is telling me that I can finally start dating, but I'm not gonna really commit super seriously into someone until I've vetted them for a while. Unfortunately, you kind of have to test the people that you're with in order to see how they react in certain situations. So I'm not saying that I'm totally against it, but it's just not a main goal for me right now. Anything can happen, and it's almost always the times when you're not looking for a relationship where you find yourself in one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.